The WWE King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring winners will receive a championship match at SummerSlam 2024. But who will get this great honor? We're going to get into that. I feel like that's the right thing. I've been talking about that for a long time. And I've said that the King and Queen of the Ring should always be the lead-in to SummerSlam, just like the Royal Rumble is for WrestleMania. I've been advocating it for so long on the channel, and we finally have done it. The WWE has finally listened to the IWC, and we are getting the tournament being meaningful this year and resulting in a championship matchup. Also, is this the end of Becky Lynch? And I also want to ask, what's your thoughts on the IC title tonight? Is it getting stale? Very soon. Not right away, but very soon. And what's next for Cody Rhodes? We got to be building towards something meaningful and something bigger for the undisputed champion that took down the final boss, Roman Reigns, at WrestleMania. All that here and more on Tap Out Talk. The results and thoughts for the King of the Ring 2024. I'm your host, Bryan, the Hype, Ballard, back at it again. Let's get in. We're going to start out with the Women's World Championship matchup. And the question you guys want to know here is, did Dominic Mysterio want to help Liv Morgan? Or did he want to help Becky Lynch in this matchup? That's the question I pose. The Women's World Championship match taking place recently. Rhea Ripley losing her championship by forfeit, giving up the title due to injury due to Liv Morgan in her revenge tour. So we couldn't just give the title right to Liv Morgan. It had to be more meaningful. And so we give a Battle Royal winning moment to Becky Lynch. And will Becky do the honors tonight against Liv Morgan? And will she win clean in this matchup? Well, we ultimately get the first matchup of the night, and we get some very cool bodysuits for them coming out. And then ultimately we do get Corey Graves making a reference with Becky Lynch's outfit, specifically referencing Peaky Blinders, the show. I haven't watched the show myself. I'm hearing good things about it. But did that match one of the characters in there? Also, we see some basic grappling between these two. A little bit depending on how this rivalry was built, but that's fine. We get a traditional match here. Liv avoids Becky's corner kicks. We get an upper hand. Liv slaps Becky, but we take a boot and an elbow, only to drop Becky face first into the turnbuckle. She works the arm. That's going to lead into a little bit more in the matchup as we move along. But then, ultimately, we do get Becky countering the Oblivion, a reverse DDT for a 1 and a 2. And we get the disarmor, and we get a couple moments with that. A distraction allows, we then get Rey Mysterio. Not Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, the son of Rey, coming down to help with the distraction. He throws a chair in. But ultimately, he then slides the chair in for Becky to use, what it seems. But he distracts the referee, and Liv casually goes over and hits the DDT on the chair and the Oblivion to follow. And we've got a new World Women's Champion in Liv Morgan at the 15-minute, 22-second mark. Post-match, we get Liv Morgan ultimately defeating a very credible champion. So this was the right call. This was building towards something a little bit more. You know, Liv Morgan's got a story to tell here with Rhea Ripley. But more importantly, she's got a story to tell here with Becky, not just Becky Lynch, but Dominic Mysterio. Did Dominic Mysterio mean to help Liv Morgan, or did he truly want to help defend Rhea Ripley's honor by helping Becky Lynch? You can't help but wonder if this revenge tour of Liv Morgan is going to end with her not just stealing Rhea Ripley's championship, but stealing her man, Dominic Mysterio himself, with an ultimate act of love and betrayal. So, we do set up a lot for the long-term storytelling here. Becky Lynch, the question you guys are asking is, Did she sign the contract extension with WWE? Did she not? Irrelevant here. I do feel that Becky will stay with the WWE. I feel like with Seth Rollins staying, it just makes the most sense. But ultimately, I do think that Becky takes some time off, spends with her Seth Rollins and her child. It takes a little bit of a break. She's done a lot of good work in the last year, and I think she'll be back soon enough. After her break, that is. But meanwhile, we do have a long-term program here with Becky and Liv Morgan, or Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Becky will be a little bit here and then removed from the picture. Then we got to build up Liv Morgan in this feud moving forward. Not a bad opening matchup. The two gelled well. Let's move on. And moving on we shall. We've got the Intercontinental Championship on the line. We've got Sami Zayn versus the ever technical wrestler and Chad Gable, and Bronson Reed, the power wrestler. We got Hart versus Technician versus Power. Ultimately, we do get an entry here with the Gable Alpha Academy coming out to support him with Maxine Dupree and Otis. The real story here being Otis and Chad Gable. We've been getting a lot of beration over the last few weeks with Otis and Chad Gable, and really Chad Gable and all of Alpha Academy. All the members being abused a little bit. You got to know this is going to lead towards a breakup. But we do get a IC Championship matchup here. Gable sends Maxine away and is only, at this point, accompanied by Otis immediately. The one he's supposedly going to trust. We get some early goings. We see a power bomb by all the men, really, just on Bronson Reed. And then we get, ultimately, a little bit of a mix-up matchup. We get a Tower of Doom spot. Reed misses out on a moonsault. Ultimately, Gable hits him with one, but Sami breaks up the pin. They continue to trade. We did get a cool spot in the middle of the matchup in which we get kind of double ankle locks. We get Chad Gable with an ankle lock working on the leg of Big Bronson Reed, taking him out. And then we get Sami Zayn coming up behind him with an ankle lock of his own. Like that moment. I thought it was kind of a nice little picture and spot there. But ultimately, Gable avoids a haluva kick later on. Starts with German suplexes, only for Sami to counter after a two and hits a two of his own. Reed gets involved, only for Gable to German suplex Reed and Sami at the same time. Gable shouts out to Otis, now it's his time, which involves Otis to take out Reed. But why would Otis, earlier, it's a no DQ anyway, so why wouldn't he just jump in? But he wants Otis to do the same to Sami. Chad shoves and slaps him. And then Otis goes for the move. Sami ducks. And Otis lays out Gable. Sami then hits the haluva kick on Bronson inside the ring and wins at the 13-minute mark. We get a Sami Zayn retention here. Byron Saxton gets a word after this with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill about their championship win earlier in the night. Ultimately get that. And then we get a post-match on basically Sami Zayn. I'm going to say this ultimately, for me, this matchup was well placed at the second match on the card. It did move the pacing of the pay-per-view or the PLE forward, and Otis and Gable get their storyline to continue a little bit. While the competition for this IC title looked pretty strong, and it was a fun, quick match, all the balancing power, technician, but the heart wins out in Saudi Arabia. So we then get Sami Zayn. I have to ask the question, will this IC title reign run a little stale after a while? How long will Sami be able to keep our minds and hearts here, coming after following such a strong champion in Gunther, who's moved on to do better things? We'll find out later tonight. But ultimately, we do have Sami Zayn in another good title defensive matchup, and I just got to ask where the story goes a little bit further. I would propose maybe at Clash at the Castle that we get a gauntlet match with Alpha Academy versus Sami Zayn. And we get Zayn taking on all members of Alpha Academy, ultimate leading to a mini final boss, if you will, in Chad Gable. And that could allow us to close the gap on this Gable-Zayn matchup. in which he can go on to other things. And going on to other things, I just want to say, go ahead and, if you can, hit that like button for me. That just helps out the channel. It also helps you see more wrestling in your algorithm, so it's kind of win-win for us. But if you want to talk a little more wrestling over on Twitter X, at @TheBryanAdkins, thanks again for everything. Let's move on. So we've got the Queen of the Ring finals going on up next in a David versus Goliath type matchup. We got Lyra Valkyria versus the powerhouse, the immovable object, Nia Jax, the Andre the Giant of the women's division. We ultimately have Lyra Valkyria making her entrance. The WWE is trying to make a big deal out of Lyra Valkyria. Is it working? I'm not quite so sure. I know they like her. I know they like her relationship with Becky Lynch. I guess the two go and have history with each other. But ultimately, we do get kind of a cool costume coming out with the Nightwing, the Raven. Quote the Raven, nevermore. And that's what's going to happen here. We're going to nevermore Lyra Valkyria, who ultimately will have this matchup. But it's just Nia Jax is too big, too fast, too strong, and too connected with the bloodline. Not quite yet in story, but you know how that is. Nia chokes her with a big boot. We get Lyra using some leaping headbutts to send her back. Nia wears her down while slowing the pace and flinging Lyra across the ring. Lyra avoids the Nia drop and then gives her a counter on the outside with a bulldog, giving her an opening chance. She adds a tornado DDT inside for a 1 and a 2. Then Nia gets going again and wants a, what I call is the bonsai drop. Only for Lyra to kick her leg out from underneath from the leg. She gets a 2 on that, a double stomp. Lyra makes a big mistake trying to corner powerbomb Nia to hit the bonsai drop a la Yokozuna style. And Nia Jax, less than 10 minutes, becomes your queen of the ring in the finals. Post-match, we get Triple H hitting a promo with Nia. Triple H really just greeting her with the crown. And then Nia hits a promo about how she's happy to make everyone mad. So at this point, she says, I know some of you are happy for me, and you are about to get a lot unhappier because I will become women's champion at SummerSlam. Like I said before, I like that these are leading to SummerSlam matches. Finally. Nia Jax will go against her respective brand championship at SummerSlam with purpose. This is going to be a summer of Nia Jax. We got to start throwing competitors at her. Competitors like Shotzi Blackheart and people like that, and just throwing at it and let Nia kind of get the summer of Nia build up. Ultimately leading to a showdown with Bayley at SummerSlam, which will bring a true question into play. Will Nia finally get a big show main event championship run? Up next, we're going to have another King of the Ring finals moment in ultimately what I felt like was one of the match of the nights for me. A very small card tonight, that. We get the King of the Ring finals here. Gunther versus Randy Orton. The story going in, will Randy Orton get the one title that just has eluded his career? Multiple Grand Slam champion. We got all these championships for Orton. We've got a King of the Ring. Multiple King of the Ring wins for Orton. But he's never won, or excuse me, Royal Rumble wins for Orton, but he's never won the King of the Ring. Orton comes down to his entrance. The crowd is hot all night. They sing. We then also get Gunther out. Ultimately, we get the two locking up. We get a slow and methodical matchup in the very beginning with Gunther Orton. We use transitions from body parts to body parts. We get some Gunther good old-fashioned chest slapping. It wouldn't be a Gunther match without a little bit of chest slapping, doing his Eddie Kingston impersonation. But we do get some bruising on Orton's chest. He uses a body slam, but finally Orton turns things around to fire off some clotheslines. Gunther avoids the power slam, and Orton clutches at his knee, telling the story. We get some pretty big moments with Gunther working the knee all throughout the matchup. We get some great, Boston Crab moves. Gunther works a half crab. Orton keeps breaking with the kicks. Orton then hits a second RKO in the matchup, covers Gunther for kicks, and basically just attacking the bad knee once again. Orton, they know, can never be stand on one foot throughout basically the match. He goes for an RKO, but he can't do it. And as he goes down, he turns over Gunther turns Orton over for a crucifix and gets the 1, the 2, the 3. Orton's shoulders were up a little bit. I don't know if they'll play that into the story or not. But the referee does pin with the 1, 2, 3 at the 21-minute mark, and we get the new King of the Ring for 2024 on a hot streak as ever. That's Gunther, presented by Triple H with the crown. The fans chant, "You deserve it," but ultimately an amazing "You deserve it" chant. Gunther responds by saying thank you, but it's none of your business what I do and don't deserve. Great heel move. That's why he's one of the best right now. We ultimately then later get Triple H confirming that there will be a championship matchup with Damian Priest defending his title against Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle in Scotland on June 15th. So we see the road paved for Gunther, getting his SummerSlam title against the winner of that match. This might be the end of Damian Priest as world champion. And you know what? He was meant to be a short-term champion in this one. I feel Drew McIntyre could get his title back that he lost in his revenge against Damian Priest, leading to a big showdown with Gunther at SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio. It's the right call. It's the right match. It's what the world is wanting to watch. This matchup for me was match of the night. I enjoyed it. I like the methodical pace leading to the big finish. But what I like the most is Gunther. They kept him very strong in this King of the Ring tournament and very methodical. He's the, what do they say, King General instead of Ring General, but he is the Ring General. And we're not even thinking of Gunther in being one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time anymore. We're thinking about, but we don't think of that Sami Zayn loss as much, do we? King of the Ring has kept Gunther hot, ready, and mark my words, Gunther will be a world champion very soon in the WWE. If not SummerSlam, he'll be a world champion by WrestleMania. Bet on that. Gunther is your winner here, much like I predicted throughout the summer of 2024. I'll link a video here about Gunther and where he leads to with this. But ultimately, if you want to get into a little more wrestling, check out the fans of ProWrestling.com. I'm a part of that group, but also I have another podcast with my teammates, Will, Heather, John, Carlos. 1/5 of the Wrestling Fans Inside podcast. We also do a lot of Twitter spaces, a lot of work over there with Carlos and the gang. Check us out over there. We've got the WWE Undisputed Championship up next. WWE does it right by putting their undisputed world champion in the main event of the PLEs. I gotta applaud him for that. It's the right move every time. That is the main event. Cody Rhodes is the best thing going on in WWE. He's your world champion. He produces another great matchup, and the story here with Logan Paul was all about these brass knuckles. The commentators, Michael Cole, does a good job of announcing how Logan Paul uses his brass knuckles, but Cody Rhodes wants to keep that championship in a very definitive streak, much like Roman Reigns did, but he didn't want to cheat to win. That's very good foreshadowing in a possible Rhodes-Reigns rematch. Good job, Michael Cole. Foreshadowing for the way, way, way future. But Cody Rhodes is the mere opposite of Roman Reigns. He wants a long-term title streak, and he'll get that tonight. But in the meantime, we got a story to tell here in Saudi Arabia with Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes. We get some drop-down uppercuts. Logan blocks. Ultimately, we get a fist down, and then Cody Rhodes does call him a bitch. Cody then gets angry and shoves him, and using the top rope, we get him stalling on a gourd buster. We fast forward a little bit. We get some inside-outside action. Cody applies later in the ring in the figure 4 leg lock. Logan sells it like he's in the best pain ever. So Logan did a pretty good job of selling here. And when has Logan Paul not done a good job in a match? That's why you throw him with an opponent like Cody. He gets ropes, but we hit a Cody cutter that connects, and Logan manages to kick out. Cody seemingly wants the vertebraker, but Logan counters with his own crossroads. Logan Paul using the heel move with the stealing the finisher, WWE 2K24 like. The fight spills the outside. Logan cheers, or he clears off the announcer table, and the trash talks Cole a bit, and Cody and Logan battle on the table. And then we back into a Cody cutter on the table, and that doesn't break it. Cody's ribs are giving him a lot of trouble, so we got the face hurting a little bit in this match, allowing Logan to take over and get him on the announce table. He climbs up with his Prime Energy drink. He takes a drink from the top rope, and he hits a big splash, and great camera work here by the WWE. Great camera work with a 360 camera while Logan's on the top rope and then going through the table. So I think they used a drone for that, but I liked it a lot. Logan adds another frog splash for a 1 and a 2. Ultimately, Logan says he hates Cody, and he hits more shots. He then sends Cody into the official in the corner later on. Cody hoists Logan up, delivers a vertebraker, but there's no referee for the count. Logan uses a low blow and then gets the brass knucks, and here they come into play with the storytelling. However, the guest ring announcer of the evening grabs Logan's leg to stop him. Okay, we had to find a way to turn the tables for Cody here. Cody blocks the knucks getting ready to hit him, delivers a crossroads. But that's just not enough. He hits another crossroads and a third crossroads at the 24-minute mark. And we get Cody Rhodes retaining his World WWE Undisputed Championship. It's the right call here. Cody Rhodes is your champion for a very long time. He's done too much to earn this. And we're just on the journey of the roads of 2024. I'll link that and talk about that in another video. But ultimately, we do get Cody Rhodes overcoming Logan Paul. These are the kind of opponents that Cody Rhodes does get to defeat. We had AJ Styles. Now we got Logan Paul. Logan Paul will move on. He'll go on to face LA Knight in a feud that they've been building for that United States Championship. But this is a bump in the road, so to speak. Cody Rhodes gets another good match, another 2 solid championship main event victories, building his title reign. Moving on to the next PLE, SummerSlam. And I do have to ask the question, my final thoughts. What will be the SummerSlam matchup for Cody Rhodes? Where does he go from here? And I am going to say, I believe that Cody Rhodes will be getting eventually to a Randy Orton program. Randy's not going to go home empty-handed losing the King of the Ring. And I believe that that will be your SummerSlam matchup, Cody versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I do have to, while we're talking about Cody Rhodes, I'm getting a little exhausted seeing the crossroads being used 3 times in a row against opponents like Logan Paul to get a pinfall. What you're doing is you're telling us that a finisher move is not a finisher anymore. We need the finisher moves to be great again. We need finisher moves to be finishers in the WWE. Now, against a super final boss like The Rock or Roman Reigns, perfectly acceptable to do multiple finishers at a big match main event like WrestleMania, where you're overcoming a huge journey. But this was a bump in the road. This was Logan Paul. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. Those should all be single finisher matches in which we move on. And speaking of move on, let's talk about, is this the end for Becky Lynch? Again, like I said, I don't believe so. I believe Becky Lynch will take some time off. But I believe that, she will be back in long-term WWE. And then, I want to talk a little bit about the King of the Ring format itself. How you guys feeling? Tournament format of King of the Queen of the Ring used to be all in one night. To be King and Queen of the Ring, you'd have to beat one man, then another to be King in your ring. I always enjoyed that format when the whole PLE was based out of winning the tournament with some championship matches sprinkled in there. But WWE's got a lot of programming to cover in the modern era, so they went to what I call spread programming, where they have to spread this King and Queen of the Ring tournament throughout TV. And even though I do prefer the one-night format, I do think the qualifying matches in the round one, and at least on the programming leading up to King of the Ring, did make me excited for Raw and SmackDown, and I did cover it here on the channel. So bravo to WWE adapting to the times, but most importantly, making the King and Queen of the Ring mean something. I said in the beginning, and I'll say it here closing in the end. Leading to SummerSlam is the way to go, and I hope that this is the standard going forward. We want Royal Rumble to become to WrestleMania what King and the Queen of the Ring should be to SummerSlam, and it makes the spring programming, hitting us with the draft in the King and the Queen of the Ring tournament, and now, man, we've got Money in the Bank, and we're going to lead right into SummerSlam without missing a beat on the programming, so bravo WWE. This was a good show tonight. I enjoyed it. There wasn't any slow parts for me, really. I had definitely my match of the night with the finals of the King of the Ring, but I didn't, hate any of the programming on tonight's, and it was well paced. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. I'm going to get out of here. It's not goodbye, it's game over.